going to start on the finial now, and I apologize for all the vibrations in the earlier parts of this video. Camera setting on the tailstock, and I didn't have the tailstock locked down. And as I've said before, this stainless that I'm using for the head, some of the hardest material I've ever worked with on this lathe. And I was getting a lot of vibration, so I apologize for that. But hopefully on this softer brass and much smaller cups and not interrupted cuts, we won't have the vibration problem. We're going to start on the finial now. The finial, I'm not going to try to explain every cut that I'm making on that, but it's just a design I come up with, my interpretation. So we're going to start putting a few witness marks for the cutting purposes. I'll zero out the DRO right there. Well, actually I want to move it on that edge there. Zero out there. And 1.6 inches is the overall length. So I'm going to put just a little witness mark there. That's to be where the cutoff is. When all said and done, that's where I'll cut it off. Alright, I want about 250 thousandths on this end turned down to 3/8 of an inch. So I'll zero out everything here. This is 1/2 inch. So I need to go in 125 thousandths to get down to 3/8. Right, each one of these divisions in here is 1/8 of an inch, 125 thousandths. So now, if I measure the remainder on here, that's 1.02 on the length. So I'm going to go over to the calculator and determine what angle I need to set this at to turn this down to a point. Okay, that was 1.2 inches, 1.02 from the end to where we want the taper to start. Large diameter is 500 thousandths. I entered in my calculator the small diameter as 1 thousandths just to have a value there. And that says set the compound at 14 degrees. So that's what I've got, and I'm going to be cutting on the back side here. You may not be able to see a lot. Got the lathe in reverse, but I'll pull the carriage out of the way, or the cross slide out of the way, so you can see what's going on. All right. You can see I need to turn a little more, direct the tool toward the material a little better, but that of course didn't change the angle. But what I'm doing here is running a taper from out to a point here to the 1/2 inch back here. All right, now we should have one more cut coming out. And I'll take that nice and slow and steady. Move the cross slide out of the way so you can see what we've got here. All right, before I part that off, I'm going to ease these edges right here just a little bit. I've got just a fine file with a with a safety edge. Now I'll get the compound set back to a workable position here. I'll use 45 degrees because that's what we'll, next time we need the compound. All right, we'll go back to our witness mark where we put to part it off. All right, I don't believe I've got that parting tool set on center. All right, there's the finial. We'll turn it around in the collet now and drill and tap this for the 1/4-20 on this end. All right, I've moved the camera in a little different position now, just simply because the tailstock could be required for a couple more of the upcoming operations. And I'm going to go ahead and start with a bottom tap with this. Being brass, it should thread pretty easy. Shouldn't have to start with a taper tap. And I'll use just a little bit of cutting oil on there. And that's got the finial finished. See if I can get it where you can see it. All right, I'm going to get set up to start working on the handle. The handle is going to be a combination of some step downs from 1/2 inch down to 3/8, and then we'll have knurling on the hand section of the handle, and then just a little decorative point type finial on the end as well. So we're going to start out threading, tapping and threading the end that will attach to the axe head. All right, the end that will have the steps, 2 steps down on it. 1 to 3/8, 1 to 7/16. This distance right here is 2 inches. So I'm going to zero out the DRO. And I'll just set my carriage stop right there. All right, 7/16 is, let's see, 0.4375. So we'll take that full 2 inches down to that distance, down to that amount. And I'll set a dimension on that. So now we actually need to come from that stopping point. We need to back up to the 1 inch mark. And I'll move the stop down here. Our target is 0.375 and we're at 0.437. So we got 62 thousandths to take off. Double check that measurement because I don't have any extra brass. All right, now we're ready to pull the piece out a little further. I'll double check my dimensions on the prototype. All right, that is going to be the distance that will be knurled inside. So I want to take a small point tool with just a small diamond point on it. And run that 50 thousandths deep in there. All right, I've got the knurling tool in there now. I've got the clamped on the material good. I'm going to put just a little bit of lube to help flush those chips out. And we're going to take this slow and easy until we get down to this spot down here. Last thing I knurled with this was aluminum, so it's leaving a little bit of an aluminum film on there now, but that one, of course, will wash off, brush off. All right, that's got a good pattern started. We'll tighten it down a little more. Reverse the direction. And feed it back in the opposite direction. All right, I think I'm happy with that knurl. All right, that'll need a little washing out. Get that aluminum off of there. But then we'll have a good knurl. All right, now we're going to get set up to cut this final on the end of the handle, part it off, then we'll turn it around and put the 45 on that end. That's just a witness mark for where the 45 will end. And I'm going to back off out here, just got a little extra, and part it off. All right, I'm gonna get it turned around, set up to put this final point on this end. Okay, I've got the compound swung around now at 45 degrees. And right here, see if I can find something to point with. This is the wetness mark to where I want the 45 to start and come down to a point. This is a little bit long, so I'm not going to concern about where it comes out down here. I'm just going to keep working it in until I get to that wetness mark. And again, I've got the lathe in reverse, cutting on this side, cutting on the back side of the piece. All right, I think I'm getting about down to the last cut here. Okay. All right, we've got the handle made, finial made, the head made, but not quite ready to put it together yet. I'll meet you back over there on the mill and I'll show you what we're going to do next. When laying out the handle and the finial, two things I incorporated on both pieces was in the end of this notch in here actually serves a purpose. I milled that out 125 thousandths wide, 125 depth, so that it's 3/8 of an inch in there. Same thing on the finial. Has this groove right here. I'm going to make a display for this, and I want it to be such that the item can hang in there. So what I've done is made one little hook here as an example. There'll be a board that this mounts to, and that will hang right in there. There'll be one for the finial end and one for the handle end. I've got a piece of 5/8 inch brass in there now, and I got a 5/8 inch end cutter, end mill. We're going to touch off. And I want to leave 100 thousandths in the middle here. So I'm going to go down 263 thousandths on each side. Of course, it's mounted in a collet block. That's our depth on this side. Now, I kept the edge of the collet block with the edge of the vise. There's our depth on that side. That fits in the groove fine. Now I'm going to take this 5/8 end mill out and put a 3/8 end mill in, leaving the x-axis in the same position. Now it should be centered in this tab we left out here, or just created. So I'm going to pull in until I just touch and zero out the y-axis, and we're going to go in 500 thousandths. That was the major diameter of our handle and finial. So what we have is a hook. In this case, the handle can simply hang right in there. Now I'm going to carry this over to the belt grinder. I won't bother to carry the camera over there. But I'm just going to round these edges, round these points off just a little bit right here. Now we'll turn back around to the lathe. Got the collet and the collet chuck over here. Going to line the edge of my parting tool up, of course zero out. And we're going to part these at 1 inch. Now we'll turn them around in the collet. And I think I'm going to plan on a number 10 screw for these. So now turn it around in there. Need to go get the drill and the tap for the number 10. All right, I'm drill this for number 1024. Actually, a 1032 is what I've got the screws. And I'm going to start with a bottom tap on this too. I went in about 0.3 inches on there, so I didn't go too deep in there. But I'm going to start with the bottom of the tap and see if I can pull it all the way up. Not with that tap. That tap's headed to the trash can. Okay, that tap was worn completely out. And that went to the bottom. All right, I'm going to do the same thing to this piece, and then we'll start putting it together. All right, I think it's time to wrap this project up now. The little mounts that I made, hook mounts, I put them on a couple of PVC boards that I've got set up just as a display. The finial I've already got installed on the head. If you recall, put 1/4 threaded in there. The handle and finial both just screw on. Then let me get the camera turned down here for you. Show you what the finished product looks like. And there's the finished battle axe. I've posted pictures of this on a couple of different Facebook groups and got some kind of interesting feedback. 99% of it was extremely positive feedback. But got a couple of people, you know, do you think that's an appropriate gift for a 12-year-old? Just various, couple things like that. There was just a couple of people questioning my judgment. But I can assure you, my grandson is a responsible individual. He will take care of this, and no, he will not carry it to school. If he does, he knows he'll be in big trouble, and the boy's got more pocket knives than I do, and he's never carried anything like that to school, so I've got no doubt in my mind that this is not a good gift for him. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. Hopefully he'll enjoy it. I'm going to give it to him in a couple nights, having a birthday party for him. And I'll try to get a couple pictures of he and I and the axe together and tack them on to the end of this video. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one.